Okay, so you guys have sent in some really, really interesting stuff about SEO this time around. A lot to unpack and a lot to think about.
Yeah, a lot of different angles on SEO strategy this time for sure.
But you know what? One thing that's really like jumping out at me from all of this is this perspective from O+Positive.
Oh, yeah. What is it about their take that has you thinking differently?
Oh, they're really pushing this idea of customer journey mapping, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that really kind of like smacked me in the face is this stat they throw out there. 98%, a full 98% of people who are searching, they're not ready to buy yet.
Yeah, that's a big number. It definitely challenges the way a lot of us think about SEO, always going after those like buy now keywords.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to dive deep into today. We're going to
Yeah.
really unpack how understanding that other 98% could be the real key, the real secret weapon for SEO.
I'm intrigued. Let's do it. I'm ready to go deep on this one.
All right, so customer journey mapping for SEO. What is that really all about?
Basically, it's about looking way beyond just the bottom of the funnel, right? Beyond just the people who are ready to whip out their credit cards and buy right this second.
Right. It's about understanding all the different stages of that customer journey, all the different touch points where people are interacting with your brand online.
And O+Positive is arguing that a lot of SEO efforts are so hyper-focused on just those people who are ready to click purchase that they're missing out on this huge opportunity to connect with everyone else.
Yeah, they have this great analogy where they say, nobody just appears out of thin air searching for a product with their wallet already open. It just doesn't happen that way.
Right, right. There's a whole process that leads up to that point, a whole journey.
Exactly. People start with a problem,
Mhm.
some kind of need or question they're trying to figure out.
Like, let's say, I don't know, your car starts making a weird noise. You don't immediately jump on Google and search for best mechanic near me. Haha. Nope. More likely you're going to start by typing something like, why is my car making a clunking sound? Or something like that.
Exactly. And Positive lays out these different stages of the customer journey really clearly. Do you want to walk us through them?
Yeah, sure. So they break it down into 5 key stages. First is awareness. And this is like that moment you just described. Someone realizes, hey, I've got a problem. Maybe their shower water's suddenly freezing cold.
Oof, yeah, not a fun way to start the day.
Right. So at this stage, they're not looking for a plumber or a specific brand of water heater. They're just trying to figure out what's going on. So their search queries might be something like, why is my shower water cold?
Okay, so that's the initial uh-oh moment. What happens next?
Next comes interest. So now that they're aware of the problem, they start looking into potential solutions. They might search for things like how to fix a water heater or common water heater
They're
problems.
starting to get a bit more specific with their searches,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. They're moving beyond just identifying the problem and starting to explore possible ways to fix it. Then we move into the evaluation stage.
Okay, so this is where they're starting to compare their options.
Right. Now they know there are different solutions out there, and they're trying to figure out which one is the best fit for them. So you'll see search queries like top-rated water heater brands or gas versus electric water
They're
heaters.
doing their research, weighing the pros and cons. Makes sense.
Exactly. And this is where a lot of times brands are starting to really ramp up their SEO efforts. But as a positive points out, there's a whole world of potential customers they're missing out on by only focusing on this stage.
And of course, then comes the actual purchase stage, right?
Yep, that's stage 4. Now the customer has made their decision and they're ready to buy. So their searches will be very specific, like buy Ream water heater online or best price on A.O. Smith water heaters.
So that's the holy grail of SEO, getting people to that buy now moment.
It's what a lot of people focus on, for sure. But All Positive argues that it's a mistake to stop there.
Because there's one more stage.
Exactly. The 5th and final stage is post-purchase.
Okay, so what kinds of searches are people making at this stage?
Oh, this is where they might be looking for things like how to install a water heater or troubleshooting tips for XYZ water heater or even warranty information for brand water heaters.
So they're looking for support and guidance even after they've made the purchase.
Right. And this is a really valuable opportunity for brands to build loyalty and create repeat customers.
So those are the 5 stages: awareness, interest, evaluation, purchase, and post-purchase. Now, why is understanding all of this so important for SEO? I mean, it sounds a lot like the traditional marketing funnel, right?
It does. It really aligns with that classic marketing funnel concept.
Yeah.
But applying this framework specifically to SEO, That's where it gets really interesting, because what Opositive is saying is if you're only focused on those purchase stage keywords, you're essentially ignoring a huge chunk of your potential audience.
The 98% we talked about at the beginning.
Exactly. And you're missing out on a lot of valuable opportunities to build trust and establish yourself as a helpful resource much earlier in their journey.
It's like, think about it. If someone's searching for, why is my shower water cold? They might not be ready to buy a new water heater that day.
Right, but if you can provide them with a helpful blog post that walks them through some common causes and solutions, you're already building that relationship.
You're becoming a trusted source of information.
Yeah,
And that could make a huge difference down the line when they are ready to buy.
absolutely. And that's where this idea of micro moments comes into play.
Okay, micro moments. What are those all about?
So these are those tiny little moments throughout the day when people, they instinctively grab their phone and do a quick search to learn something or figure something out. Those little bursts of intent.
Like how long to cook chicken breast.
Haha, yeah, exactly. Or what's the best way to get red wine out of a carpet? These tiny little moments are actually super valuable for SEO because they reveal a lot about what people are thinking and what they need at that exact moment.
So instead of just targeting broad keywords like water heater, you're thinking about those very specific needs and questions that people have in those micro moments.
Right, like how to bleed a water heater or best energy efficient water heaters for a small apartment. By understanding those micro moments, you can create much more targeted and effective SEO content.
It's about getting super granular with your keyword research and content strategy.
Exactly.
So there's this really cool visual in the Opositive material that breaks down searches for carpet tiles, UK. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, I love this visual. It really brings this whole concept to life. So picture a big circle in the middle, right? That represents the broad search term carpet tiles in the UK. And it's got a pretty significant search volume, like over 100,000 searches per month.
Okay, so that's a lot of people searching for carpet tiles.
Right. But then, branching out from that central circle, you see all these different clusters of more specific queries. And they're organized based on the different stages of the customer journey and the user's intent.
So, like, what kind of queries are we talking about?
Well, on one side, you've got queries like office flooring ideas or best floor types for high traffic areas. These are people who are in that early awareness stage. They're just starting to think about their flooring options.
They might not even know that carpet tiles are a thing yet.
Exactly. Then as you move around the circle, you see queries like luxury carpet tiles or carpet tiles with soundproofing. These are people in the evaluation stage. They're starting to compare different types of carpet tiles and looking for specific features.
They're getting more and more specific with their searches as they move further down the funnel.
Right. And then, of course, you have the purchase stage queries like buy interface carpet tiles online or carpet tile installers near me. And finally, you've got those post-purchase queries like how to clean carpet tiles or carpet tile replacement tiles.
And the really cool thing about this visual is that the size of those circles, the thickness of those branches, it all corresponds to the actual search volume for those queries.
Yeah, it's a really powerful way to visualize just how many people are searching for information related to carpet tiles at those earlier stages of the journey.
So Positive's big takeaway here is that there's this huge untapped potential for brands to connect with customers much earlier in their decision-making process.
Exactly. And that's where their whole approach to customer journey mapping comes in.
So how do they actually put this into practice? Like, what's their process for working with clients?
So they have a really practical four-step framework they call GEO. It's basically their structured approach to applying customer journey mapping to SEO. And the first step is primary keyword plus intent analysis.
Okay, so what does that involve?
Basically, they start by using tools like Google Search Console and Ahrefs to identify the top keywords that are relevant to a particular business or industry. But then they go a step further and they actually analyze the intent behind those keywords.
They're not just looking at the words themselves. They're trying to understand what the user is actually trying to achieve with their search.
Exactly. And they group those keywords based on their inferred intent. So you might have a cluster of keywords related to problem awareness, another cluster related to solution exploration, and so on.
So they're basically creating a map of all the different ways that people are searching for information related to a particular topic.
Right. And then the second step is intent funnel mapping.
Okay, so what happens in this stage?
This is where they take those keyword clusters and they work closely with the client's product teams to align them with the different stages of the customer journey.
So they're basically connecting the dots between what people are searching for and where they likely are in their decision-making process.
Exactly. And they also use any first-party data that the client might have, like information about their existing customers, to refine that mapping even further.
Makes sense. The more data you have, the more accurate your map will be.
Right. And then the third step is where it gets really cool. They use AI to help with their content planning.
AI, how does that work?
So they have these AI-powered tools that analyze all of the data from the previous steps and then recommend the most effective types of content to create for each stage of the journey.
So it's like if someone is in the awareness stage and they're searching for information about a particular problem, the AI might recommend creating a blog post or a video that provides a helpful overview of that problem.
Exactly. Or if someone is in the evaluation stage and they're comparing different products, the AI might recommend creating a comparison chart or a product review guide.
So it's all about making sure that your content is perfectly aligned with what people are actually looking for at each stage of their journey.
Right, and the AI can really help to take the guesswork out of that process.
Okay, so that's step 3. What's the final step in their framework?
The final step is precision execution. This is where they take all of the insights from the previous steps and they put them into action.
So they're creating content briefs, deciding where to publish that content, and setting up tracking to measure the results.
Exactly. It's all about executing their strategy in a very precise and data-driven way.
So, all things considered, what kinds of results are they seeing with this approach?
Well, they claim that their clients are seeing some pretty significant benefits. They're seeing wider organic reach because they're targeting a much broader audience.
They're not just limiting themselves to those bottom-of-the-funnel keywords.
Right. And they're also seeing a better return on their content investment because they're creating content that's specifically designed to meet the needs of their target audience at each stage of the journey.
So they're not just throwing content out there and hoping that it sticks. They're being very strategic about it.
Exactly. And they're also seeing higher quality leads because they're attracting people who are more informed and further along in their decision-making process.
Because they've been nurtured through that content throughout their journey.
Right. And finally, they're seeing a more seamless integration between their SEO efforts and their overall sales process.
So it's not just about getting people to the website. It's about guiding them through that entire funnel, from awareness to purchase.
Exactly. And that's what's so powerful about this customer journey mapping approach. It's really about putting the customer at the center of your SEO strategy.
It's about understanding their needs, their pain points, and their motivations at every step of the way.
And it's about creating content that truly adds value to their lives.
And ultimately, that's what's going to set you apart from the competition and help you achieve long-term SEO success.
Absolutely. It's not just about chasing algorithms. It's about building real relationships with your customers.
So I guess the big question for everyone listening is, how well does your current SEO strategy really understate your customers?
Yeah, that's the thing to think about. Are you just focusing on those bottom of the funnel keywords, or are you taking a more holistic approach and thinking about the entire customer journey?
Are you creating content that truly adds value at every stage?
That's the key. Because at the end of the day, effective SEO is really about understanding people, not just algorithms.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure. Always enjoy these conversations.
And if this whole customer journey mapping approach to SEO has got you thinking, Opositive is definitely a company worth checking out.
They've got some really interesting ideas about how to take your SEO to the next level.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone.
See you next time.